All right, so what we're gonna do next is the neck of the guitar. I'm gonna choose not to do the strings, but you could do the strings the same way. I'm only gonna do a top line and a bottom line to get it to look the way that I want it to look. And that way I don't have to worry about weeding all this stuff out of here. Again, I'm somewhat being lazy in some regards, but I think it actually looks better without the strings running through the words, but it's really personal preference. So I'm going to use the line tool. So over here, I'm just going to pick the line command, and I'm going to hold my Alt key and roll my wheel again to zoom in, get a little tighter. And I'm going to pick over here as a starting point. So I'm just going to pick here. If you pick and let go, it asks for some options. So you can actually put in a length. If you knew how long you wanted the line to be and what angle you wanted it to be at. And then you can also tell it to fill the line. So when I do that and I click OK, you can see that it drew in that line. Now it's picked up that distance from a previous line that I had done. But if you just left click and hold your mouse button down and drag it, you can see that you can kind of change the shape or the length that you want. All right, so I'm gonna just delete that. So now I have this line, and a couple things you want to do, depending on if you don't have it see the line, check your properties, make sure you've got fill and that you have the stroke. So here's where I can change the size of the line, make it thicker, thinner. I can make it longer, shorter. So if I, again, using my selection tools here, I can hover over this grip and I can drag this guy out so that it goes to the end of my D, which is right about there. All right, so we're a little bit larger than our graphic, which is fine. It's, again, we're just using the background graphic to trace. Now, if you keep this as a line, it doesn't translate out as an SVG because we really need the outline of that line to cut as a cut, right? Because we want that to be a piece of vinyl. So I'm going to go up to the object dropdown, and there is a command here called rasterize. There's a couple different ways of doing this. I find this is probably the best or the easiest. So I'm going to click rasterize. It's why I chose the 300 dpi. That way there's a bunch of pixels. You can see how this raster up here is pixelated. When I pixelate this, they're going to be smaller pixels, so it's going to be a sharper graphic. And you'll see it, we're going to turn it back into a line in a second. But I'm going to click OK. And now you can see that it's a raster image that you can change. You can see the pixels now. All right. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to come over here to the properties that it's selected, and I'm going to go image trace. And I'm just going to use black and white logo. And you're going to see this process again when we do the bird and the font text here above. So I'm going to click black and white logo, and now it's converted it to a vector again. So I went from vector to raster back to vector. I'm going to expand it so you can see, because it actually has a shape here and a shape here. And if I go to layer and I expand that group, you can see that I've got the line in two white pieces. So I'm going to hold my shift key down, select both of those white layers, go to the bottom and hit the delete selection. And that leaves me with just that shape. All right, so now I can come in here and I can resize it. If I change this, you can see it's a vector shape now. Again, a couple different ways of doing that. You can make a box. I just find this happens to be the easiest. Now we want to put this on the bottom, so I'm going to use the effect tool, and not going to use the effect tool. I'm going to use a transform tool, which is reflect. So I'm going to reflect it, and I'm going to reflect it vertically, but I'm also going to click copy. So when I make the copy, you can see now I have the line where I reflected it. So it's got the same angle that the other upper one did. And now I'm just going to go ahead and drag it down and place it. If you hold your shift key down as you drag it down, it'll drag it straight down. So I'm holding my shift key down, that kind of locks in that straight line. So I'm going to left click there. And if we turn off the background image, now you can see my two shapes. Now I can drag this guy down a little bit, and that looks a little bit better. All right. Now you could, again, if you wanted to, do the same thing for the lines through the words in the font. right? But that's how I got the neck to get done. And then we're going to work on this piece over here, and then we'll do these last two pieces. So a couple more videos and you'll have your graphics.